If.
Wrestling Connection. Welcome back to the most extreme menage a trois violence you'll ever experience here on the Extreme Three-Way Dance. I'm JT, joined by Jenny and Matt as we go on our journey through the history of Extreme. We started this journey in February of 1994, and here we are in August 1998, coming off one of the greatest pay-per-views in ECW history at HeatWave 1998. So we'll be covering the fallout tonight. We put our first 100 episodes in the books as well. 2 weeks ago, we were at episode 101. I want to thank you for sticking with us and for sticking with No Style Connection. This podcast, like many of ours, is simulcast both video and audio, video on YouTube. If you search No Style Connection, you can subscribe there. Be sure to leave a like and a comment if you may do so. And also follow us on any podcast application by searching No Style Connection there. We have simulcast, we have exclusive video, exclusive audio, sub to both. Follow us on social media, and you won't miss a thing, just like Aerosmith once said. Matt, how are you?
Doing peachy. We are post heat wave, and let's see if we can keep riding the wave of goodness of goodness into that's heat wave. That would have been better. It wasn't called goodness wave. It was called heat wave.
Who sang Heat Wave? You heard it in our last episode. Do you know who sang it?
I don't know. It was a doo-wop band. I think
Martha somebody. We talked about
Martha and the Vandellas.
The Vandellas.
Martha Kitt.
Well, I hear Rising Tide sinks all boats or some stuff like that. So
Rob Vandella.
Right.
We got 3 weeks of TV here tonight. We're going to be talking about the fallout from HeatWave 2 weeks after that. And we don't have a pay-per-view for a while. November to Remember is our next one. Yeah, it's early in November, though. So we don't have like a ton of time, but we got a good 2.5 months to get through before we get to our next pay-per-view. So let's talk about it. On August 8th, 1998, we open with a clip of Taz calling out Shane from HeatWave. Our opening animation includes a graphic hyping November to Remember on November 1st from New Orleans. So another new city for pay-per-view. I'm guessing that TV they did there in the summer was kind of a test run to see how things would do. It did well. I mean, they put a big angle there, too. We talked about that, where they ran the angle with Beulah getting injured in New Orleans. So clearly they saw potential as a market, and now they're hitting the pay-per-view there. So we haven't been the biggest fans of these random places for pay-per-view so far. We liked Dayton, probably one of the most. We've seen the town in Georgia. We saw Asbury Park. We've had Florida, right? Was it Fort Lauderdale?
Fort Lauderdale, I think. Yeah.
I feel like there's another one missing. What was the?
I did too.
Pittsburgh. We had Pittsburgh.
Right. Yeah, Pittsburgh. And then Barely Legal was the arena.
Yeah. So we'll see. We'll see how New Orleans stacks up. Joey's in the Nest. He says they're just coming off a red hot pay-per-view. It was critically acclaimed throughout the industry. And the big news is Taz is still FTW champion. We get stills from that match of Taz and Bam Bam Bigelow. Bigelow and Candido are backstage. Bammer says he did not tap out. And while the Taz mission was locked on, he'll never tap. He would need to be choked out next time. Bigelow promises to kick his ass, and he'll get his trophy back his way. Taz is backstage as Bigelow's whining and crying like a bitch. He should just fess up to tapping, as everyone knows it. He isn't getting into any controversy. Bigelow beat him clean and living dangerously. He was the bigger man. He made no excuses. He didn't cry about it. He took it like a man. But not like Bigelow. He's the best big man in the business, but the best little man just beat him. So maybe he's even bigger than Bigelow now. Shane's career is done. His future's in the booth. He's good at it, but now he's a fragile, damaged goods. Taz is a buzzsaw and the only world champion in the company, and Shane's a liar and a crier and is always talking about the FTW title. So how can it be fake and bogus when Shane talks about it nonstop? Taz asked who Shane beat. He won the NWA tournament, threw down his belt, had a regional belt that he turned into the ECW world title. He beat nobody for it. So how is Taz bogus, but Shane isn't? There's some guy standing naked in a Roachfield apartment in Altoona, calls himself ECW champion, but Shane doesn't talk about him. He just talks about Taz and the FTW title. He's obsessed with Taz, taking him out, putting him down. He's down physically. He's down mentally. The genius, Mr. Chalkboard, Mr. Cap and Gown. Taz is the only real champion. Anytime Shane wants a shot, he can call the office, or he can just call him, and he can get a shot. But Shane can never beat him. Matt, there's a great promo. Bigelow was fine. I thought Shane was great as always. Taz was great as always, calling out Shane. This story he's telling, again, makes sense, right? He's putting Shane in the spot to say, look, you did the same thing I did. You legitimize your title. Mine's just as legitimate as yours is. You're a bitch until you step up to the plate. Taz, for months, Taz hyped himself up, right? Like, by admitting that Bigelow was a better man that night. Bigelow beat me clean. He was a better man, and now he beats Bigelow, and Bigelow won't put him over. And he's saying, "Now you're being a bitch when I was a real man, and now you're being a bitch." Right? So it's all that months of build. I like that it paid off in this. That Taz constantly kept saying, there's no excuses. Bigelow beat me on that night. So now Bigelow's coming with all the whining and excuses. So, what'd you think of this, Matt? I thought it was pretty good substance.
Yeah, I always enjoy a Taz promo. Usually I agree with Taz, but he says about the fake belt stuff. I mean, look, Shane did win a tournament. I mean, yes, he did get a title. He did start his own title, but
the NWA title was the tournament. The ECW title wasn't.
I know, but he still wrestled in a tournament. You see, it was just because he got right, a lot, but I mean that FTW title is just kind of his, that he started. You know what I'm saying, for Christ's sake. But I did enjoy the Taz promo. Taz is always great. Calling him Mr. Cap and fucking Gown I thought that was a great line. It'll give Shane a shot at his belt anytime. Probably going to have to wait a little while for that. So calling Bam Bam a bitch, don't do that. He put you through the ring at one point. I think if you keep doing that, he's going to do that again. So, more great stuff from Taz here, Jenny.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I think Taz is reaching quite a bit when he says those things. Shane didn't make up his title. He just rebranded it, right? At least there was something to throw in the trash, I guess. But I don't know. I don't think Shane is damaged goods quite yet. I mean, yeah, he's injured, but I mean, he's still got a lot left, I feel like. I could be wrong about that because he may never come back from this arm injury. I could be totally wrong. But I don't think Bigelow has been whining or crying. I think he's saying, I didn't tap because he motherfucking didn't tap. So that's what I think. I think as much as Taz thinks he's telling his truth, I think Bigelow's telling his truth as well.
We'll see how that all shakes out. Joey's in the nest. He's not sure where Shane even is at this point. If he's co-host anymore, if he's not. He says Bigelow tapped, and he was a roadblock between Taz and Shane, and Taz got by him, so that path is headed right for Shane Douglas. Taz and Shane's feud was born from the Taz-Sabu feud, and now we get highlights from the first ever match between Taz and Sabu at Barely Legal. This is the first time we ever see this on TV. We also see highlights of Taz beating Shane for the TV title on the spot that same night. Joey's in the nest talks more about Taz and Douglas as the issue between Taz and Sabu never came to a close, but the two will wrestle this weekend for the FTW title at the ECW arena. We know Bigelow could be around and involved as well. Joey talks about a huge story later about a big defection from the WWF to ECW, and the story is rocking the world. We'll have more later. John Finnegan is backstage. He gives his thoughts. He says from his vantage point, Bigelow tapped, did not reach for the ropes. I love how he's so shocked that anyone wants to talk to him. He's like, oh, he's trying to leave the building. It's like he's left. Like rushing through what he's saying. He's like, Bigelow tapped. That's my opinion. And then he runs out of the arena.
Run away. Yeah, you better run, bitch, because no, he didn't.
Poor Finnegan. We get a clip of Tammy Sitch showing up at Halloween Havoc with her fiance, and Joey says that Sunny, official name Tamara Lynn Sitch, is the major defection from WWF that he mentioned. She has now joined ECW. She popped back and forth for years to help further her and Chris Candido's careers in both places, but now she is here to stay, and we'll have more analysis on the hotline. Jenny, any thoughts on this becoming official that Tammy is now ECW only?
I think it's interesting how our podcast has a synergy with things that happen current day sometimes, and things line up in different ways. And here comes Tammy when she's in the news in 2023 very recently. So it's kind of a mind fuck. Because a lot of these people, I don't know where they end up, right? Like the Mike Awesome thing, no idea, no clue what happens, whatever. Sunny, I've seen happen in real time as it happens to her. So she will continue to probably cause a lot of trouble in this promotion, which is fine. We need some more ladies.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. She's been on a bunch anyway prior to her being quote unquote exclusive with ECW.
Right.
She was a part of Living Dangerously. She was obviously at HeatWave. So, and her fucking boyfriend, husband, fiance, fuck buddy, whatever you want to call Candido to her. I mean, he works here too, so it makes perfect sense.
All right, we get stills of Candido and Storm. Storm's backstage, talks about Candido's big surprise that we had. Storm had Candido beat until Sonny grabbed his ass and he fell. Storm says he has a nicer ass than Candido, and that's coming from his own fiance since she grabbed it. On Saturday, he's going to kick Candido's ass and then take Tammy home as well. Joey's in the nest. Joey's in the nest trying to figure out Storm's new attitude. He hypes this weekend show. We have Candido Storm, Sabu versus Taz, RVD versus Jerry Lynn for the TV title, New Jack versus Jack Victory in a weapons match, and they have encouraged the fans to bring weapons to the arena, and Joey begs for that discretion and common sense for the types of weapons they bring. Also, Mike Tanaka. Mike Awesome versus Masato Tanaka. Paul narrates clips of Tanaka's Awesome's feud. Awesome is backstage. He gives Tanaka credit for winning at HeatWave, but he left him alive, and that'll be a fatal mistake. People say Tanaka can take more punishment than anyone can dish out, but Saturday night, he will dish out a lot at the arena. So there you go. More. Despite my comments last show, we'll have more Awesome Tanaka to come.
Joey is great when he tells them not to bring any crazy weapons. It's just perfect because he's just deciding them to bring more crazy shit to the arena, which I hope they do. I can't wait to see that.
He also called Lance Storm a charming mute at one point, and that killed me.
He did. Mike Awesome did the little promo. He's so wooden, he's just he's not a good promo.
He's not an awesome talker, you guys.
No, he's really not.
All right. Paul narrates stills of Credible Lynn, and then Credible brags himself up as the next ECW champion, says he'd stoop to any level and sacrifice anything to win, including Chastity, who he slaps on her injured shoulder. He is cold, calculated, and the greatest thing going. We get stills of RVD and Sabu versus Hayabusa and Jinsei Shinzaki from HeatWave. Fonzie, RVD, and Sabu celebrate their big win backstage. There's no surprise. They're still champions, the usual RVD. Beulah, we get a 3D slow motion video package for the 50th fucking time. That same one of her getting wrecked.
R.I.P. Beulah.
Yeah.
We then get clips of the new Jack Dudleys brawl from outside the era. We get the Dudleys and Gertner locker room promo from before HeatWave. Then we start to get clips of the HeatWave main event, but Shane Douglas interrupts and says no one gives a shit about Tommy and Beulah, and asks if Francine would have left if her neck got broken, but she would still be out there managing in a wheelchair. Shane says he feels the heat and rants on RVD trying to amass enough titles so he can get to his world title. Taz makes his own belt to call himself world champion, but he's a moron and a pretender. 5 years ago, Shane made ECW while Taz makes a living in it because of him. Taz never beat Bigelow, didn't make him tap. Watch his eyes in his hand. He was reaching for the rope, and they aren't done yet. The Triple Threat stakes a claim. They have a secret surprise for the ECW arena, and they'll make sure that Taz doesn't get anywhere near Shane until he's ready, and the ECW world title is his belt. A very angry man is Shane Douglas, Maddie. But again, I like this promo to end the show. We needed to hear from Shane coming out of HeatWave. Yeah. Where's his head at with all this? And he's really been rattled since Al Snow. It hasn't really recovered since. So he's feeling the pressure.
Yeah, I think Al Snow's the guy who kind of started the whole thing, and then just Taz doing his thing week after week, saying that, that I don't have a fake belt, you have, all the stuff with the belt. Shane's fucking lost it again. I feel like I say that once per episode, but it's the truth. I mean, he's just very angry at this point. He's been angry for about 6 months, and I think he's only going to keep getting angrier until he can finally get Taz in the ring, whenever that is, if he can, when he's back. End of the year, next year, whenever it is. Like he's just gonna keep being angry, and he's gonna tell everybody just how fucking angry he is until he can try to be the guy to put Taz out. So more great stuff from Shane here as usual.
It is great. The more he sits there on commentary and sees what's going on, I think it eats at him. He can't work, right. He can't fight, he can't do anything really, except run his fucking mouth, and he's really fucking good at it. Yeah. So he will continue to do that. But I loved he just interrupts the whole thing and just spews all this shit. It's great. Super fired up, Shane. I loved it. It was super awesome.
All right, that wraps up that episode. No matches. I went Douglas's promo for best moment. I mean, we didn't really have much to work with.
Yeah.
I like Nicole Bass. You can start taping now. In the beginning of that promo, it fucking took me out. And then Just Incredible smacked.
Yeah, that slapped
Cassidy.
Cassidy.
And she said, "Ow." That was great.
Most 90s, I went with Sunny defecting. And then urging the fans to bring weapons. Although I think GCW kind of does that now, so I guess maybe not full 90s, but
the more things change. Yeah.
Do they let you bring weapons at GCW?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
There's only one way to find out.
I didn't know that.
I think if I could have handed something in that moment in Detroit, I probably could have just given them anything. Yeah, I think so.
Really? Like a sword or something like that?
Sure. Stock Rising, I went Taz, Sunny, RVD, Douglas.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have anyone falling. Final grade, I just went 5 out of 10. I mean, it was your average recap app. I think if you didn't see the pay-per-view, this is good. You got kind of the big moments and stills and all that, and get you hyped for the arena. Kind of middle of the road.
I did 5.5. I bumped it up for some fired up Shane.
Yeah, I mean, I went 5 on it. It's I got 5 on it, as the song says. But
Loonies.
Yeah, fairly standard post pay-per-view recap episode.
All right, let's fast forward to August 15th. We cold open in the arena. Storm has paperwork. He says Candido's alone tonight, and ECW received a letter that has nothing to do with the call he plays. Just happened to be a random coincidence. The letter says that due to Tammy's contract with the WWF, she is barred from ringside, but not from his hotel room in case she wants to grab his great ass again, and not that pin cushion she's used to grabbing in Candido. Storm going in real heavy here on this guy's woman.
Did Storm just discover that he has an ass?
I don't know.
When you get a hot girl starts complimenting your ass, you get fired up about it.
She's clearly playing you, dumbass.
Or he's playing her, Jennifer.
I don't
we get to our opening match, Chris Candido versus Lance Storm. Candido jumps Storm at the bell. We get a quick flurry of offense into a Candido powerbomb. We clip to Candido chopping away. Storm turns him around, lays in some shots as well. Storm kicks low. Candido blocks a missile drop kick with a slingshot. Storm gets a DDT. Clip to Candido, it's a swinging neck breaker, slugs away, slams Storm, hits a middle rope leg drop for 2. We clip to Candido outside and against the railing. Storm flies into him with a pescado. Clips to Storm, shooting Candido into the crowd and talks shit to Douglas. Back in the ring, Candido catches Storm on the top rope and slugs away, hits the top rope Rana. Goes back up top. It's a diving headbutt for 2. We clip to Storm cutting through some offense. Clip to Storm countering a powerbomb. Candido backs off and hits a flapjack for 2. We clip to a Candido back superplex attempt that Storm reverses for 2. Storm tries a handspring elbow, but Candido yanks the ref between them. He's out. Storm pulls knuckles from his boot, and then Candido ducks, elbows Storm down, takes out a chain. He slugs Storm for it. Storm is woozy. Candido grabs the mic, hits him with it while talking shit. Candido loads Storm up top, but Storm grabs the mic on the way up. He hits Candido in the nuts, hits a top rope superplex, and gets the win. And revenge from HeatWave as Storm continues to roll hot. Another big win. Gets one over on Candido. He talks shit. He works hard. Picks up wins. Joey says Storm is showing he can use the mic, which I thought was a nice touch, a cute touch where, yes, he's getting better on the mic, but also can use the mic as he builds his career in ECW. A great start. We didn't get everything, but it was hot from what we saw. So I give it a 3. I extrapolated a little bit. Didn't do a full extrapolation. I'm sure if we saw the whole match, it would have been closer to the usual 3, 3.25, 3.5. But for a TV segments, Jenny, I thought this was really good.
Yeah, I definitely wanted to see more of this. But I think we probably got the best parts of it. And again, it's just kind of more of their good stuff. But after you have Tammy ringside for a match, I feel like it loses something when she's not there, which shows her value, I think. It was good that Lance Storm kind of got a win on Candido to make up for HeatWave. But I thought the mic spot was just kind of awkward because he was holding it the whole time when Chris was climbing. And then it was kind of between them, and then he kind of did the nut shot. I don't know. It didn't really come off that well for me. So I did 2 3/4, Matt.
Yeah, I went 3 1/4 on it. It was their normal really good stuff, but I liked how they changed it up a little bit. You had the stuff with the chain, you had the stuff with the knucks. I thought the mic thing was actually funny, especially the sound the mic made when he got hit in the junk. It was just it made a good sound to it, and so yeah, it's a unique finish to another really good TV match between these two guys. These guys, I think, are just going to keep feuding for forever, really.
Well,
so,
as long as Tammy's around, why not?
If they keep having good matches, I'm for it. So 3.25 for me.
I was definitely lower on that than y'all.
Yeah, I mean, the chemistry is just so good. I feel like that's the floor for me right now. Even in
I think it's the
form.
clipping that fucks me up.
It hurts the flow, especially guys like that where
extrapolation.
It helps matches that are like the brawl shit where there's no connective.
Yep.
These guys get hurt by the clipping because they are so good at bridging all those spots together and telling that story. So that's where the clipping hurts. It's guys like this. It helps dudes like the Dudleys and New Jack, and so you're just hitting the big spots and you're losing all the walk brawling in between. But for these guys, it actively affects for sure. Opening animation, Lance Storm's backstage says he owes the fans and Candido apology for not getting to see Tammy in her low-cut dress and nice ass, but he screwed it up. Candido didn't have her, and it helped cost Storm the match again. And anytime Candido's alone with Tammy, you can thank Storm. Candido has yet to meet him like a man. He's got to keep his rat at home, and Storm gives no apology. So, I mean, Storm is really going in on this, like just being a real dick through all this. And
kind
also,
of triple threat
too. Yeah, he really. The mic work came fast for him. He's also in a weird spot where like the triple threat has this odd kind of like Candido's almost a face, Bigelow's like a tweener, and Douglas is a heel gimmick going on. It's interesting how it's played out because Candido's clearly the face in this feud with Storm. I mean, Storm's just being a belligerent asshole to him and his wife. So it's like, I mean, it's he's being a piece of shit. So like he's clearly the more heel of the two.
It seems like his ear injury has really affected him because, like he's working these matches, but we haven't really heard much from him, and usually you can't shut him the fuck up.
All right, Joey, Shane, and Francine are in the nest. They set up the night ahead. They talk about Storm duping Candido because Storm only had a sealed WF envelope. They found out after that Tammy is actually free. There was nothing in it. So they got hoodwinked. She's cleared to appear in ECW anytime. So she's not under contract. So I don't know if she just wasn't there that night and they wanted to cover, or it was just a heat thing for Storm. So they played it up. But either way, she is free and clear in full-time ECW. We got a video package recapping 3 weeks ago where Taz, Sabu, and RVD all raised their belts together in the ring. And Shane says tonight there's a big surprise awaiting Taz and Sabu. And that's our next match is the big barely legal rematch between Taz and Sabu. The crowd is buzzing as Fonzie and Sabu hit the ring. Taz talks out. Shane talks about how much they hate it, how much they hate each other. We get full intros. The crowd heats up. They circle around, start trading punches. We clip ahead to Taz hooking Sabu in a single leg crab near the nest, but Bigelow attacks from behind and hammers away. We then cut to Bigelow shooting both guys in the ring, and the crowd calls for a three-way dance. Taz wants it. The ref and the announcer converse, and they make it official and say it is now a false count anywhere triple threat match. Bam and Bigelow, Taz, and Sabu. Bigelow gets in the ring. All three take turns throwing bombs. Taz and Sabu work together to clean out Bammer. Sabu offers a handshake. He tries to clothesline Taz, but he ducks, and it's a belly-to-belly. We clip to Taz throwing Sabu over the top into Bigelow with a belly-to-belly. Bigelow puts Taz on a table. Sabu slips on a triple jump. Bigelow shoves him off the top through Taz and the table. We clip again to Bigelow stomping on both guys in the ring. There's a table in the corner. Sabu and Bigelow work together to shoot Taz through the table. Sabu goes low on Bigelow with the DDT for two, tries a Rana. Bigelow blocks and snaps Sabu down with the powerbomb. Taz kicks Bigelow in the table shards and cuts down Sabu with a hard lariat. We clip to Sabu hitting a triple jump dive into both guys in the crowd. We clip ahead to Taz beating on Sabu at ringside. They throw a chair into his face. Taz goes back through the crowd. He meets Bigelow under the bleachers. They hammer away there. We clip to Sabu working over Taz in the ring, hits a triple jump moonsault for two. Bigelow powerbombs Sabu, smashes Taz with a chair. Taz comes back with a T-bone and a head and arm Tazplex on Sabu. Taz cuts through both guys, rolls up Bigelow for two. Sabu goes to a cross arm breaker. Taz breaks that by hooking his own on Sabu, but Bigelow breaks it up and kicks away. Taz goes back to an arm bar, but now Sabu breaks it up. Taz dumps Sabu outside. Bigelow smacks Taz with a chair. We clip to Bigelow going into the crowd. He's chasing down Taz, who jumps off the balcony. Bigelow catches him and runs him into a barricade. We clip to Sabu hooking a leg lock on Taz in the ring, but Taz breaks the hold. Bigelow's back. He drop kicks Sabu. Sabu recovers. He smacks Bigelow with a chair. Taz flips him over the belly to belly. Fonzie hooks Taz's leg as we clip to Sabu hooking Taz in the camel clutch. Bigelow breaks it with a heavy sleeper. Taz breaks out with a chair to both guys' heads. We clip to Taz hammering on Bigelow outside. Sabu meets him with a suicide dive. We clip to Bigelow trying to hook Taz on the Taz mission, but Taz counters to an armbar. Sabu throws a chair at Taz's head, but he keeps the hold and flips off Sabu. He does it again, and then a third one finally forces Taz to release. Sabu gets 2 at a roll-up. We clip ahead to Sabu getting a Arabian facebuster on Sabu. On Taz. Sabu catches Bigelow in the eye with a nasty chair throw for 2. Bigelow's eye's bleeding now as he staggers up and gets a chair. He mangles Sabu in the head. We clip to Taz getting a Samoan drop on Bigelow. Sabu covers for 2. All 3 are scrapping for pins, but no one can finish. We clip to Sabu jamming a spike into the bloody cut of Bigelow. Bigelow goes low to stop the stabbing. And Taz grabs Sabu, crushes him with a dragon suplex. Bigelow splashes Taz. We clip to Sabu hooking Taz into a camel clutch, but Fonzie throws Sabu the spike. Taz grabs it out of the air, bangs it into Sabu's knee and Bigelow's head, and grinds it into the cut. Shane says Taz claims he never used weapons, but here we go. We clip to them brawling some more until the bell rings for a Jennifer Smith favorite 30-minute time limit draw. A red-hot match. Some good violence and intensity and vibe. A tough finish. I think they lean on that finish too much in the big dream matches, but it was really well done. The crowd loves it so much. It's almost they don't even care about the draw because they got to see 30 minutes of their favorites beat the shit out of each other. Bigelow's eye was disgusting. Taz was just a bulldog, and Sabu was nonstop. Just really intense. I went 3.5 with the clipping. I'm sure the full 30. I don't know. Maybe it's the balance. Maybe you lose some again with dragging it out, but you might miss some good stuff in there. So, Jenny, where'd you land on this, even with the draw?
Well, it's hard to be a cunt and bitch about the time limit draw, but I'm going to do it for a minute. Because after this, yeah, I mean, it's kind of, who are you going to put over? I mean, I would pick Bigelow, but I'm not going to say I didn't mind it because I minded it. But it was a hell of a match, and it's just them just fucking brawling, just balls to the wall. Every fucking move that you can name, they do it. They go in the crowd, they go through tables, they railing. I mean, it's just so brutal. Taz and that 3 times chair shot, and he would no sell it and flip him off. That was badass. Now, Taz in the past gets blown up quickly in matches and loses something for me, but he hasn't done that in a while, and he really showed out in this match. He hates them both so much that he just goes into this next level, especially with the suplexes. But ultimately, I wanted to do the 4, but I got mad about the finish again, and I did 3 3/4, Matt.
So I went 3.5 on it. It's great. I think the full match is out there. I want to say it ended up on one of the WWE DVDs, like one of the unreleased ones. I think the full thing is on there, so it's probably out there somewhere in the interweb. But yeah, I mean, for the 10 or 15 minutes that we saw, it was fantastic. Just great stuff. I mean, just brutal, like you said, Jenny. Any move you can name, they pretty much did it in this match. The edge of the chair, cracking Bam Bam in the face, cutting him open was disgusting.
Oh, that shit was bad.
Just brutal stuff. So I was under the impression that when they added Bam Bam to this match, I thought, all right, they're going to pin Bam Bam. One of them's going to pin Bam Bam. That's what I thought. But then they did the draw. And I mean, I don't mind the draw here when you have 3 guys, 3 guys like this in a match. I don't know if I necessarily want to say it makes sense, but I understand why they didn't have any of these guys lose. So the pace was, from what we saw, was great. I mean, I'm assuming they slowed down at some point in the 30 minutes, but what we saw, they sure as hell didn't. So, but yeah, just wild stuff. I wonder if the spike they used was the same one that went in Candido's ear. I feel like
probably so.
I wonder if it was, but yeah, the spike, I feel like we don't see all that often anymore, and it's a thing that I think we could use more of because it's fucking, especially when you have Bam Bam who's already cut open from a chair. You just drive a spike in his face; it really adds to it.
Fucking Sabu just showed it to the crowd. Look at my spike.
Look, there's Candido's ear fragments.
Holy
Look at that.
Shit. More spike, please. And then also that's when I knew it was going to be a draw. When I saw the spike. So
that was always a draw. I mean, you're not going to Big O lose again. He just lost. Taz and Sabu fight. And like I said, I think in the arena you can get away with it because they see so much stuff that they know they're going to see more shit later. So it's like to them, this was just an awesome 30-minute war. Who gives a fuck about the finish? We like all the guys, and we'll see them conclude a story because every show is here pretty much for the most part. So
Yep.
It's not like, oh, we're only in Altoona once every 6 weeks or every 6 years or whatever it is. You know what I mean? So like, this is your one chance to see something. These guys see everything, so whatever.
Yep.
All right, we're in the nest. Shane rants about the FTW title and Taz's claims. Altoona. Joey talks about our upcoming TV title match as Francine shows off. We then get our next match, and that is Jerry Lynn versus Rob Van Dam for the TV title. Pretty loaded show. Lynn is in the ring prepping as Fonzie leads that RVD, all the gold draped. Shane talks about Lynn's impressive summer series with Credible. After a break, we get going with a lockup, a trading of offense and reversals at a quick pace, capped with an RVD drop kick and a corkscrew leg drop. Lynn comes back with a sunset flip powerbomb and drop kick that sends RVD to the floor. He regroups and riffs with Fonzie. RVD returns, but Lynn stays on top and knocks him back out and meets him with a plancha. RVD turns the tide outside, hangs him on the railing and drops a leg on him. After a break, RVD gets a slingshot leg drop for 2, slams Lynn back down, hits Rolling Thunder for 2. RVD twists into a Boston Crab. It's a snake eyes, but Lynn counters with a slingshot with a drop kick to send RVD to the floor. Lynn again knocks RVD outside, meets him with a baseball slide to send RVD to the fans. Lynn meets him with a springboard across body. Back inside, Lynn pours it on, gets 2 off a top rope leg drop. RVD's nose is bleeding heavily from that spot as Lynn goes back up top. RVD blocks him and hammers away. They trade blows up top, and Lynn takes him down with a sunset flip powerbomb for 2. Lynn tries a tornado DDT, but RVD counters mid-move into Northern Lights for 2. Just a great spot there. RVD goes up top. He gets caught. Lynn takes him over with a great superplex for 2. Fonzie hooks Lynn's foot, so Lynn grabs at him while laying on the mat. RVD pounces with a guillotine leg drop. Lynn recovers. He takes RVD through a table, a tornado DDT to a big pop in a wild spot. Lynn deadlifts RVD in and covers, but Fonzie puts his foot on the rope to make the save. Lynn talks shit to Fonzie, which allows RVD to grab a chair. Lynn ducks, and the chair gets thrown back and forth until RVD hits a sick Van Daminator. Lynn rolls to the floor. Fonzie tries to pick Lynn up, but he can't. RVD goes and gets him, but Lynn kicks out. Lynn gets a close near fall on an inside cradle, but RVD gets back on offense. Lynn counters the suplex and murders RVD with a pile driver for 2. Lynn goes up top, but Fonzie shoves him, and he lands crotched on the top rope. Fonzie holds a chair, and RVD hits a super Van Daminator to pick up the win. This was an amazing match. Fantastic chemistry. The pace, the offense was hard-hitting and intense. ECW setting didn't need big weapon shots and craziness, just intense, hard-hitting action. Lynn has become a star, and he's made the most of these chances. RVD is a super sick nasty. Fonzie pays off as always. RVD takes advantage to escape, and everyone wins here. Top-notch, 4 stars, Matt. This is what I've been waiting for. This is what I wanted the paper, like that breakthrough match, and we get it here in its entirety. I love this. It's a hidden gem I've never heard about. I really liked watching it. I thought it was awesome.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. 4 stars. You could see the chemistry is instant from like 30 seconds into the match. You could tell already that these 2 guys are just going to work well with each other. They mesh really well. And I mean, Lynn's the type of guy, we've said it before, Lynn's the type of guy who I think works well with everybody, but he really works well with RVD, as we see here. I mean, Jesus, just the moves in this match were insane. The leg drops, the just the reversals and the counter holds, and how they're taking each other's shit and then coming right back with their own stuff. It's just fantastic. RVD's face was a fucking mess by the end of this. He needs a doctor and probably some stitches. There was one point, I think it was like halfway through the match, I think there was like some sort of hold or something, and you could see RVD is just smiling at one point. Like he could tell that, oh, we got him. We know we're tearing the fucking house down, and they absolutely did. So the finish was sick with the chair-assisted kick. Just my God, just unbelievable stuff. Hell of a match for free TV too, to just throw out there. And like you said, it's a match I didn't know existed. Like I had never heard of it, heard of this match, I should say. But yeah, incredible stuff. So 4 stars for me too, Jenny.
I'm shocked that this is like a hidden gem match. Like this should be on everybody's fucking ECW list. It's fucking amazing. Jerry Lynn is so fucking scrappy and so good. He just reads everything so well and never hesitate. I mean, like he lines up his spots, like he gets where he needs to be, and he snaps out off a jump off the apron over to the railing on the front row. Like And RVD is feeling himself more than I think probably any wrestler I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, he is
this
so locked in.
The Rock level confidence. Like, it is fucking through the roof. And he owns it. He has earned it. It is his. He lives in it. Like, it is unbelievable to watch him in this match. When he gets his nose broken, I was like, oh shit, this might hurt him a step. No, I think it emboldened him to go take it that much further with Jerry Lynn, and he just met him move for move. It was fucking great. Like, I thought Jerry Lynn was gonna pull it out, like, right till the end. When they did the spot with Fonzie in the chair and they threw it and they missed him and throws him off the side, I was like, oh shit, Jerry Lynn is gonna come back and win this fucking match. And this will be like sort of the decline of RVD because he's been at the top for a while. But wow, it's 4.25 stars for me. The ending was great. The heat was great. Like, it's just a fantastic match.
It's a classic. Should be definitely talked about more, like you said.
Mm-hmm.
Gertner's backstage talks about RVD's title reigns coming to an end in Dudleyville and vows he will lose one of his titles by the end of this event in the arena. Tune in next week to see it happen. Some good tease there by Joel. All right, awards, best match. I think we can all sit here and say RVD versus Jerry Lynn.
It's gotta be.
Yep.
I mean, worst match, I went Storm Candido, but I mean, that was great.
Excellent.
Clip,
yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Best moment, I went the Lynn table tornado DDT, which was an awesome spot.
Ooh, I gotta go with the nose breaking.
Yeah.
I don't even, was that a chair shot or a leg drop or something? I don't know, but it got him.
Got him good.
There's a lot on here. You could mention the spike that was used throughout the match. Like, there's a lot here.
Taz 3 chair shots.
Yeah.
That was fucking great.
Most 90s and with Sonny's contract status yet again.
Yeah.
I like the yin yang on RVD. It's very 90s.
Yeah, that is pretty 90s.
Stock Rising, Storm, Taz, Lynn, RVD.
Bigelow, Sabu.
The spike.
Stock falling out with the facial stuff. Bigelow's eye, RVD's nose.
Yeah.
Everybody's heads are falling off.
All right, final grade. This is great. I mean, 8 out of 10 for me. Like, this is a, we said it. We got to see more classic TV. Like, this was it. This was an awesome episode. Like, they put all their top stuff into this one. We saw 3 great matches, 2 were clipped, so you wonder like what it could have been with those. But the main event was the one we wanted in full, so we got it. A couple of the storyline advancement stuff. It was a great episode of TV.
I can't like not do at least 8 out of 10. I want to bump it up a little bit more.
Yeah, it's an 8 for me. The hell of an episode.
All right, let's get to our last week of TV here tonight, August 22nd, 1998. Paul Heyman narrates highlights of last week's 3-way dance. Says all 3 men were treated for exhaustion after the match, which left RVD alone to defend against Jerry Lynn. We get clips of that, as well as Gertner's prediction at the end of the show that RVD will lose some of his gold by the end of the arena. Opening animation, Shane Douglas and Francine head to the ring to join Joey. Shane's fired up. He rants about, instead of getting a blowjob for Francine during the show as usual, the match has been too damn hot, so he's been stuck watching them. Doesn't want to miss the action.
I lost my fucking shit when he said that.
Oh my god! It's like just when you think he's like over the
I know
off the deep end, he like breaks out this stupid shit.
And he finds some wild thing to say all the time. Just fucking took me off.
I like to think he doesn't tell Francine just to get her like real time reaction.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
She does a funny thing too, where she like does this little rub in the corners of her mouth. It's pretty great.
Bigelow didn't tap at HeatWave. He says, study the tape. You can see he's reaching for the ropes. And tonight, Bigelow has mastered Taz and Sabu for a half hour, and he's a greater champion than RVD ever will be. RVD and Sabu have been collecting too much gold, and the Triple Threat has a problem with that. So it looks like the Triple Threat's going to reassert itself as a dominant force and take back all their fucking gold. Gertner shows up to booze. He gives Francine a bouquet of Twizzlers. It says earlier tonight, RVD was wrestling Jerry Lynn alone and took a beating. He's bloody and busted. And Sabu in 30 minutes, he got no win and was beaten down by Taz and Bigelow. Terrible shape he's in. Gertner asks if Douglas wants the tag titles in his camp, or would he just be satisfied to get those belts off of RD and Sabu? Shane says he doesn't care who has them, as long as it's not RVD and Sabu. Joel says before the Dudleys finished unfinished business, they took it easy after a pay-per-view. They have tucked away in a special hiding place a tag team title shot, and on behalf of the Dudleys, they are exercising that option tonight. Joey doesn't think that should happen, but RVD comes out with both belts. He backs Shane out of the ring. Shane bails. He says he's too injured to be messing with this shit. RVD mimics Gertner and says he battled Lynn around the arena while bleeding, and Sabu's carried out. But Sabu's used to RVD carrying him anyway. RVD isn't just a TV champion and a tag champion. He's the whole fucking show. The Dudleys stalk out and stare down RVD, who does not back down. Bubba introduces himself and says they get their title shot tonight. He talks down RVD and says he couldn't even beat Sign Guy. So RVD decks Sign Guy with the belt. Fonzie throws a chair at Dick and then eats a Van Daminator. And then RVD and Fonzie bail out to a pop. A really good segment. I think it elevates the Dudleys again, continues to push RVD to superstardom. He's a top guy that does not give a shit. He just went 20 plus minutes to Jerry Lynn, and now he's like, screw it, I'll take both you Dudleys on as well. Doesn't back down, Jenny. I think RVD was awesome in this segment as always.
Well. right to Joel's face was great. Where was this weird title shot locked away in some fucking Disney vault? Like, I don't
Big
understand.
Dick's treasure chest.
Dudley Vault. Dudley Vault.
Dudley Vault. I don't want to know what the fuck's in the Dudley Vault. So,
yeah.
Sure, I guess we'll just do that. That's fine. What are we gonna do though without Sabu? Maddie?
What are we gonna do without Sabu? That's a question I ask myself weekly. I really enjoyed this. I thought it's a good setup for the match later on. Gertner with the Twizzler bouquet fucking killed
amazing.
me. Just unbelievable. The way he presented it too, and all these giant fucking Twizzlers just flopping all over.
Around.
Oh my god, it was perfect.
And she was like, yeah.
What it's like, what the fuck am I supposed to do with this? It's Twizzlers, you fucking asshole. What's wrong with you? And then at one point, she grabs Gertner and then she wipes her hand on Joey, and Joey's like, oh, God. Like wiping it. Just whatever they pay Gertner, it's not fucking enough, let me tell you. He's the best.
Probably wasn't much, honestly.
No, wow. Those Twizzlers are probably what they paid him, honestly. But, yeah, I really enjoyed it.
And he's come such a long way. Remember, he was just like the ring announcer?
Right.
Skinny little ring announcer.
And now he's arguably the best talker in ECW. It's unbelievable. And it was another guy, sort of like Lance Stormer we talked about, just super quick, how he found his character. And
that's one thing with ECW we've seen. Like, they're not afraid to hyper put. Like, when a guy starts doing anything that gets remotely over, they are like up there. You know, Stevie, even back in the day, it was like the same thing. Like, we see whenever they see any glimpse of promise in someone, they're on it.
Mm-hmm. As they should be.
Right. I mean, if you find your strength, fucking go with it. Why hide it? You know.
Right. Well, and that goes especially so for a guy in our next match. This is just Incredible taking on Sandman. Obviously, they hyper push him to the moon as well. Incredible's out with Jason, Nicole Bass, and Chastity. He has a tough task here as Sandman saunters to the ring. It's his usual long entrance. Get a bunch of riffing about Sandman's legacy by Joey and Shane. Shane compares Credible to himself as a youngster climbing the ranks. The crowd chants, "She's a man" at Bass as we go to break. When we come back, Credible demands the cane be taken away. The ref obliges. We get rolling with some hard Sandman strikes and a guillotine leg drop. In comes Chastity. She canes Sandman, but he shakes it off and spanks her. That allows Credible to pelt Sandman with a nasty snap drop kick. Credible hammers and stomps away. It's a super kick for two. Credible keeps pouring it on, but Sandman comes back with a slam and a top rope leg drop. Gets two on that, but Chastity sprays hairspray in the eyes of the ref. Nicole Bass comes in. Sandman loads her with a pile driver, but Jason saves with a hard kick to the face. Credible covers, but the ref is still down. Credible scoops Sandman, but he floats out and then dodges the Jason cane shot, hits him with a Russian leg sweep. Credible ducks the cane and finishes Sandman with "That's Incredible" to the shock of Douglas. Joey hypes it as a huge win. Credible ends up caning Sandman across the head after the match. And a fun match. Some good post-attack, usual chaos piling on from Credible's crew, which always works well, adds to his heat. Could be a good start to the feud as well, and Sandman having to deal with Credible's crew, and it costs him. So Credible's moved on to another big name in Sandman with another feud. He keeps stacking wins. I went 2.5 on this one, Jenny.
You know what? That's probably the drunkest intro I've seen Sandman do. And that's saying something. But, like, he tried to climb up on the railing and fucking fell down. Had to try that spot again. He was just so wobbly and loose and probably very drunk. So anyway, I knew he wasn't going to win this in any way, but I did think it was really fun. Sandman is feeling himself a little bit in this match, and I think that's the alcohol again coming through.
Oh, easily, yeah.
Yeah, and so I mean, he puts up a good fight. It's a Sandman match. I like the hairspray spot. That's pretty unique. We've not seen that much, but the fuckery abounds, and I kind of was into it. So I did 2 3/4, Matt.
Yeah, I went 2.5 on it. I mean, like you, I think we all kind of knew that this was probably going to be Credible's night again. The thing that surprised me was just how quick it was. Like, it's a pretty short match. It's like 5 minutes and in and out. Maybe that was because of the Sandman drunkenness, perhaps.
Probably.
But, liability reasons and whatnot. But, I mean, it was pretty entertaining for what it was. And they covered this up with enough shenanigans and fuckery that it was super entertaining for as quick as it was. So, and Credible gets another big win under his belt. So, 2.5 for me.
All right, Sandman is backstage, and he says maybe he lost some intensity after HeatWave, and he's there for Dreamer. He said Credible to solidify that Credible now has to try to put out.
Good.
Joey, Shane, and Francine reset. They hyped their return to ECW Arena on August 29th. Credible and his crew were in the locker room. He brags up his big win and continued rise through the ranks. And Joey reveals that Sandman and Credible will have a rematch on August 29th, with the loser getting caned 10 times. Ooh. Joey hypes up our main event. Douglas fucks with him and then rants about RVD, Sabu, and Taz. And that brings us to our main event, which is Rob Van Dam defending the ECW tag team titles against the Dudley Boys. RVD and Fonzie head out. Joey says Gertner has his contract tucked away, and now RVD is in a tough spot to defend against the red-hot Dudleys. Bubba bullies Bob Ortiz as Gertner takes his spot, does his intros. Fonzie stumbles through introducing RVD. A little charm to it, but he tries to match poor Joel. Oh, baby. Joey says Sabu is backstage and being treated for exhaustion, and RVD didn't consult him about this match. Sabu may not even know about it. RVD and Devon start things off with some mat work and counter holds. RVD gets a springboard crossbody for 2, follows with a Rana for 2 after blocking a suplex. Bubba comes in, hammers on RVD, and the Dudleys start to double up. RVD ducks and flies into both of the springboard kick. Bubba cuts RVD down the clothesline. RVD's busted nose opens back up. Bubba keeps hammering away as Joey says Dick is in the hospital thanks to the VD earlier tonight. That is the Van Daminator. Bubba tosses and slaps RVD around, and RVD comes punching back into things until he eats a hard clothesline. The Dudleys take control, working together to choke and hammer on RVD. Bubba shrugs off a sidekick, hits a sidewalk slam. Shane talks about the heat in the building, as RVD has already wrestled once, and it's so hot in there. Devon tags in. It's a back elbow to the busted eye, follows with a hard elbow drop for 2. The Dudleys continue to beat on RVD, taking turns to their offense until RVD hits a big spin kick and a cross body block to Bubba. RVD gets his knees up on a double headbutt attempt as he fights off both guys. He gets 2 on a spin kick to Bubba, but he's hurting now. RVD gets up and gets a shot right into the 3D, but he rolls away as Sabu hits the ring with a chair and cleans house. Douglas leaves the nest. He heads to ringside as Sabu takes out the Dudleys. Fonzie puts the table in the ring. Sabu loads both Dudleys on it and buries them with a leg drop off the top. Bigelow and Candido come in. They attack Sabu and RVD with Shane barking orders. Bigelow and Shane hold the champs on a table. Candido goes up top, but Taz shows up and shoves him down. Taz helps clean house on the triple threat and the Dudleys as Shane bails. The ring is cleared, and Taz, Sabu, and RVD stand tall in the ring yet again. The fans chant new triple threat, and Fonzie keeps Sabu from attacking Taz. So we don't really get a finish here, but we get a big moment. A fun handicap match with RVD taking a shit kicking, hangs in, does all he can despite the exhaustion. It was a great showing by him. The Dudleys lose their big chance. Douglas's big plans fail. And Sabu shows up at the post-match was well done as well. Seems like we have a big, huge 6-man on the horizon with these different triple threats. I went 3 stars, Matt, for the match. I thought the Dudleys were going to win this. I won't lie. I thought for sure this is their way of getting the belts off RVD and Sabu. So I like that they didn't do that, and it felt like a given with Joel's promise, the way it was shot and filmed and aired. So I like the way it ended up ending up, and now it looks like we're having an unlikely team up with RVD, Taz, and Sabu against the triple threat, which is really the top 6 guys right now in ECW. So pretty neat that they're lining them up.
Yeah, I went 2.5 on it, and I think I'm lower than you on it because I'm just not a huge fan of handicap matches in general. They just there's something about it that I just can't get behind. I don't know what the hell it is, but it irks me, and I don't know why. So it was good for what it was, and I do think the handicap match part of it probably went a little bit too long. Like I think they could have gotten like Sabu could have come out a little bit quicker than he did, but I mean it was still perfectly fine for what it was. As far as the new triple threat goes, yeah, I still don't know how I feel about that. I mean, Taz spent 15 months going at fucking Sabu. So, I mean, I guess they could do a thing. It's like, I don't know, the enemy of my enemy is my friend or whatever that.
Yeah, I think that's how they're doing it. I don't think Taz is suddenly going to be buddies with Sabu again. Like, so, I think it's almost like, all right, this has always been Taz's MO, right? He'll go as far as he can until he has to give in and do the thing he doesn't want to do.
Right.
And now it's getting to be too much. Like, he almost needs their support. And he respects Sabu and RVD more than he respects the triple threat at this point. Bigelow's whining. Shane's a bitch. Sabu always takes him to the limit. RVD's awesome. So, like, and he knows Fonzie for better or worse, right?
So like, if they keep it to that, I think it could work. But if all of a sudden you have, Taz, which I don't know if this will necessarily happen, but if all of a sudden you have these three guys being buddy with one another and they're like literally a new triple threat, then I wouldn't feel high on that at all. But like if it's like I said, if it's an enemy of my enemy is my friend type of thing, I'd be okay with that. So, but I mean, it's a fine way to end the show. And like you, I thought the title was changing here. It would have made sense to do it here. So it was a nice change of pace that they didn't do it here. So 2.5 for me.
Yeah, they definitely swerved me because I was like, oh, okay, this is how the Dudleys become the fucking tag champs. But no, not on this night. But RVD is just fucking amazing. Like, because he just did this whole thing with Jerry Lynn, and he barely even looks like he barely wrestled. Like, how is that possible? And they were telegraphing a lot with Sabu's in the back being treated for exhaustion. Everybody else is in the hospital, blah, blah. Okay, yeah, no. Sabu's definitely coming out at the end of this match. But, so all that was sort of predictable. But it was kind of cool what happened when Sabu came out to save the day. I could see them having like an uneasy alliance, Taz and RVD and Sabu, which, I mean, look, their alliance is already uneasy as it is because RVD is a huge egomaniac and Sabu's insane. So I could see that working. Definitely not long term because Taz, he's just a lone wolf kind of guy. Like he's not like a team up type of guy. He's told us that this whole time. I'm going to hit in the middle and do 2 3/4 stars.
All right, that wraps up our final episode. So let's get to our awards here. Best match to me was the main event, RVD and the Dudleys.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I mean, I went 2.5 on both, but I'll give the nod on that for the post match.
All right, so worst match is Credible Sandman. Best moment, Taz, Sabu, and RVD standing together at the end, for sure for me.
That was good. I like the Sandman intro.
Yeah, so good too.
I went with Credible getting another win under his belt with Sandman.
Most 90s. It wasn't much to choose from, so I just went to Nicole Bass on this one.
Yep. Although I think she's looking better.
Yeah,
the last couple
she's just very 90s
outings. Yes.
Rising, I went Dudleys, RVD, Credible.
Yep.
And Falling, I went Triple Threat. They're scuffling a bit here lately.
Maybe.
Tough couple weeks. Bigelow tapping, Candido getting worked over by Storm.
Bigelow did not tap, motherfucker. No, I liked. Well, Shane saying he usually gets his dick sucked during the match is pretty great.
Final grade, I went 6 out of 10. A fine episode, above average to me. We had, a pretty good match. No big developments. It looked like we may. You're going to see the Taz, RVD, Sabu moment probably 15 times from here. So, like, if you didn't see it on this episode, you're fine. Same with Credible Sandman. It's the start of their story. So, like, I don't think this was like a must-see episode, but it was entertaining. So, it felt like a 6.
I'm going to do 6.5.
I went 5.5. It felt like we're at the start of a bunch of new things kicking off, but that's all this really was just like the chapter 1 of the stuff that's going to lead us into November to remember.
Right.
All right, well, it's going to lead us out of this episode. So 3 more down. Always exciting to continue this journey with both of you. We'll be back in 2 weeks with 4 weeks of TV. It'll take us into September, so that'll be a fun time as always. And continue our journey. Check out everything we have to offer on North South Connection, both audio and video. Follow us on social media. We appreciate the love, the support. Everyone stay extreme. We'll talk to you in 2 weeks.